Okay. All right, let's go ahead and get started. Welcome, everyone. This is your market update for the week ending March 3rd, 2023. So let's go ahead and just jump right into it. SPY, SPY. I'll start with the weekly chart. Everything earlier this week leading up to Thursday was looking really bad. I mean, you had a shooting star, kind of a setup going into the week. You had this engulfing candle, and then guess what happens? Bostic speaks and entirely pumped the market. Just to kind of give you guys a visual, all right? This is when he spoke around here on week of February 13th, right? On February 16th, he started talking about 50 basis points, and we were at the highs that week at 415, all right? And we dumped all the way down to literally 391. So that was, SPX wise, that was a almost 200 point dip from the highs of February 16th down to yesterday, 391, right? 39.28. So that was nearly a 200 point move over the course of the last, 2 weeks, right? And so guess what? Bostic says, well, we're open. Fed might be in position to pause in mid to late summer. So guess what happens? When you think the market just can't pump anymore, it consistently does, or it does. So off the lows yesterday at 39.28 range, we ended the day on SPX 40.45. So that's nearly a 120 point move. And the next big resistance for SPX is really 40.80, which would put us right about the 407 SPY gap or the 408 gap that you see on the daily chart here. So 408, there's this daily gap here from 407 to 408-ish, okay? And that is likely to fill at some point if we don't get rejected from this anchored VWAP and also SMA 20. That's going to be a big test going into Monday here. Now, Q already hit 300 earlier, right? And about a few minutes ago, went above 300. The SPY's, it's up, the 404.39 actually hit 405 at one point, which was our TRT party 405 hash mark today. But hey, we hit it, right? So with that being said, I'm going to put a small target to attack the SMA 20 at 405 for next week. It may even happen, right, at Monday pre-market. But that SMA 20, downward sloping SMA 20 is going to be very, very interesting to watch, all right, going into next week. If we look at our infamous 1 hour chart on the SPYs here, based off yesterday's comments, we have moved above and we closed above the lower trend line. We're obviously above the MOAT. We're obviously above the moving average 2200, which is mama. And we're above the moving average 50 as well. So a lot of great momentum going into next week. Let's see how far this momentum is going to carry. We got to close over 405 Monday, that anchor VWAP and SMA 20 to validate this run, right? Or else if it rejects there, you might see some knives on Monday. So again, you have this gap here up to about 407, 408, which is going to be my upside target. We got to break 405 first, and then 408. All right, so that's going to be the target going into next week. And if you look at the volume today, not bad, right? You have pretty good volume yesterday, pretty good volume today as well, slightly little bit higher than your average volume on the SPY. You look at your stochastics and it's turning up. You're looking at this CCI, this is turning up, and those are the two primary indicators that I use. Now, at some point, if we fill this gap Monday, then I do think we're due for a little bit of pullback, right? You look at the 1 hour and a shorter time frame stochastics and CCI, we're pretty much overbought. And when these things get overbought, like here, remember on February 13th, we hit some highs, right? We remember on early February, SPY hit 418, all right? And you look at our stochastics back then versus compared to now, we're even higher, okay, than that particular stochastics during that time. So what to watch tomorrow, next week? Tuesday is Powell's speech or testimony, testifies before the Joint Economic Committee. All right. And that's going to be televised. And, I'm sure the market's going to be watching that. So if he's hawkish, watch out, folks. We have a gap below here at the 396 level, which is right here. There's a 390. No, there's a gap here. Oh, there's an hourly gap. Oh, I'm sorry. Hold on. There is a gap down here at 396 level here that has to get filled. So that's what I would be watching. If Powell sinks the market, then we go back and fill that 396 gap. If he sounds dovish or he says the right things, okay, then you can see the market squeeze up a little bit more. But we close the day pretty much at 404, 405, and this is a very strong move confirmed by volume as well. So with that being said, let's go to the Qs. All right, the Qs, between it's buying the Qs, obviously it's a kind of a three white soldier setup. You might have one more green day before a pullback, all right? But you definitely have a gap on the 294s in the Qs. Our weekly goal this year or this week that I mentioned on last week's video was 296, and we actually blew right through that. All right. Now you look at the Q, the 300 is going to be a big area, right? We're still right below the 300 mark, but we're here at the SMA 20, close right near the SMA 20 and the anchor VWAP. All it takes is probably another 56 cents or 50 cents before it starts clearing that level and filling this gap here at 302 to about 303. So there's a small gap that needs to get filled. So on the upside of the Qs, I'm going to say it's going to go and attack that 303, that infamous 303 line. All right. And you look at the stochastics looking good here. Bullish check boxes, higher volume today in the tech sector as well. And of course, let's go to Apple, right? We have to talk about Apple. All right. Apple in virtually a day and a half hopped over your moving average 200, which is insane. You got a gap here at 146, 147. All right. You closed over at SMA 20. There's some volume gap supply. It's probably at 154. Okay. Up here, when Apple gets up here into this 155 level, it gets crazy, right? Either it breaks out or it fails at these levels. 157 is the area where Apple usually rejects, and they rejected here, here, and here as well. Next level up is 175. I don't even dare to think about 175 for Apple. That would mean 430 for SPY, quite honestly. But I don't necessarily have a target for Apple next week, but just got to wait and see, wait and watch. This SMA 20, which is 150, it had a little trouble this morning, but blew right past it. Okay, that 150 psychological resistance. All right. So with that, and look at that. Look at the Apple volume today too. Pretty wild. All right. So once again here, 1 hour chart, I would say we need some type of pullback, but they probably want to fill this gap first. Okay. They probably want to fill, well, there is a gap here. There's an hourly gap here too. And the hourly gap up here at 407. Gotcha. Okay. But we got to see, all right, once that gap fills, all right, will the pullback come? Retest 404 or retest this lower trend line. All right. So with that being said, great week so far. I think, first 2-3 days of the week, this last 2 weeks especially, has been like just really piss poor trading and a lot of fake outs. But I'm glad that at least the last 2 days, the market found some direction. The market squoze, took advantage of it. Okay. So with that, have a great weekend, and I'll see you guys on Monday.